I don't know where. I don't know where come lately. You are the sun, I am the moon. You are the words, I am the tune. Play me. Song she sang to me, song she bring to me, words that rang in me, rhyme that sprang from me, warm the night. And what was right became me. You are the sun, I am the moon. You are the words, I am the tune. Play me. So it was that I came to travel upon a road that was formed and narrow. Another place, another grace would save me. You are the sun, I am the moon. You are the words, I am the tune. Play me. You are the sun, I am the moon. You are the words, I am the tune. Play.
If you have a mobile phone and it's not turned on to silent, can I ask you to do that now, please? Thank you. So we're just going to start the service today. I'm going to ask three of Theresa's grandchildren come up, Lainey, Madeline and Geordie, to light the candle. Thank you. Theresa, we light this candle today so that your light will always shine. We cherish the special place in our hearts that will always be reserved for you. We thank you for the gift of your living brought to each and every one of us. We love you, we remember you. Now, just before we begin, I'd like to put an apology in for Ian and Diane Bennett, who can't be here today. So good afternoon and welcome. As we gather here today to say our final farewell to Theresa, we will share memories of her life, beginning many miles away in Dumbarton, Scotland, then emigrating to New Zealand as a newly married young woman with only a small amount of money in her pocket to start a new life. Then through the rich tapestry of her life, the many places she lived with her large family, her faith, and how that faith was tested with the sad loss of her son Joseph, to the love and the joy she experienced with her grandchildren. I would like to welcome family and friends joining us via the live stream, and with special mention to Cullen, who is currently in exams, Grayson in America, Renee, Cameron, Riley, David and Karen, and Ray and Kerry. And it is difficult not being able to be here, but I hope you find some comfort in being able to watch the service today. My name is Robin Johnston, and it is an honour to take the service today for Theresa, and I thank the family for allowing me to help them through this difficult time. When we met, you spoke so lovingly about your mum and your nana, and how she has been a large part of all your lives, and I know you will miss her dearly, and my heart goes out to you all. On behalf of Theresa's loving family, Michael and Debbie, Stephen and Shona, Paul and Sue, Janet and Ian, Jared and Janine, the late Joseph, and Mary and Lockie, her adored grandchildren, Cullen, Lainey, Renee, Cameron, Riley, Grayson, Madeline and Geordie. And she's been a much-loved sister of Mary, Kathleen and Patrick, and auntie to all her nieces and nephews, and I thank you all for being here today to offer your love and support to them during this very difficult time. After the service today, the family warmly invites you to join them at the Town and Country Club, and this will give you an opportunity to share more memories of Theresa over a cuppa and a bite to eat. And at the conclusion of the service today, there will be rosemary just outside in a basket to place on Theresa's casket, should you wish to. Theresa began her life during the beginning of the Second World War on the 4th of November 1939 in Dumbarton, Scotland. She was Pat and May Donnelly's second oldest child, with her late older brother James and her younger siblings Mary, Kathleen and Patrick. As Patrick was 9 years her junior, it was up to Theresa to help bring him up as her mother suffered from postnatal depression. And May was a homemaker, and Pat was a fitter and turner by trade, but also a staunch unionist for the Labour Party, and this is something Theresa would be incredibly proud of over the years. They lived on Main Street along with 40 other families, and everybody knew everybody, and they shared a toilet with some of their neighbours, and Theresa recalls them being the lucky ones, as the toilet that they got to share was kept very clean, unlike others on the street. And the family then moved to Aikenbar Drive. And Theresa didn't remember much about wartime, which is a real blessing, but she did have memories of getting dressed up in a uniform and spending time in an air raid shelter or bunker. She attended the local Catholic primary school, and when she was 12 years old, she won prizes for excellent arithmetic ability, often getting 20 out of 20 in her tests. And from there she went on to Our Lady in St Patrick's High School for her secondary education, and left at the age of 15 to start work at West Clock. During her time there, Theresa was part of a time and motion study that she went on to pass, and with her speed and skill of putting a clock together, saw her time set as the benchmark for the other workers. And her father was very proud of her achievement and subsequent qualification, that he bought her a second-hand bike so she could ride back and forth to work. When Theresa was 3 weeks shy of her 17th birthday, she met Joe Montgomery through friends, and her father, Pat, had a strict no dating rule until you were 17, so she didn't have too long to wait. The weekends were spent hanging out with friends, going to the pictures and walking around the streets with friends in Dumbarton. And in 1958, Joe and Theresa got engaged. In 1959, Joe was called up for compulsory military service, and he didn't want to go. And so he decided to emigrate to New Zealand to be near family, and Theresa was to go with him. They needed to be married to make the trip, and on the 25th of July 1959, just 5 days before they left for New Zealand aboard the Rangitoto, they were married. As a newly married couple, and Theresa still with her maiden name, they were unable to share a bed and would have a long 6 weeks in single berths. They disembarked from the Rangitoto in Auckland with only £9 to their names, initially staying with Joe's brother John and his wife Kathleen, and from there they travelled to Invercargill to stay with sister-in-law Betty. Joe and Theresa had no idea how far it was from Auckland to Invercargill, and with literally no money, they had to borrow £30 to make the 1,000-mile journey by bus and train. They were picked up from the station by Peter Van Weer, and in those days you sat with everyone piled on the front seat, and Theresa recalls the gear shift being between her legs, and as the gears were changed, her skirt was getting higher and higher. They found a flat in Princess Street, and Joe and Theresa both began working at the newly built Alliance Freezing Works. And Theresa worked as a typist and recalled bluffing her way into the position. And in those days, you could get a weekly leg of lamb for 12 shillings and 6p. They welcomed Michael into their family in 1960, just 2 weeks after Theresa's 21st birthday. Then came Stephen in 1961 after they had moved to Lake Waitaki for Joe's work on the hydro stations. And this type of work would see the family shift around the country to a lot of different places over the years. With the arrival of Paul in 1963, Janet in 1964, Jared in 1966 and Joseph in 1970, and then Mary in 1973 saw their family grow to 9. And as I mentioned earlier, they lived in many places, and Matahina in the North Island being one of them, and Theresa really enjoyed living there. She loved the local Maori woman who would just come and take her babies so she could have some time to herself. And sadly, Theresa suffered from postnatal depression like her mother had, and after every one of her babies, this happened to her, and she was so thankful for the help from those women. They also made their home in Waiuku, Waipapa, Twizel, and for a whole 10 years in Arari, amongst others. Theresa sewed all the children's clothes. She was self-taught, and everything was used to make clothing, even old sheets to make pyjamas. And a neighbour would help out by knitting jerseys for all the children and the family on her knitting machine. Theresa ran a tight ship and was incredibly organised when it came to the children. There was a daily and weekly roster where one would wash the dishes, another would dry, and another one would put them away. And Janet recalls knowing how to make a bed from the age of 4 and being the oldest girl having to wear hand-me-downs from her brothers. Theresa was working as a barmaid at the local hotel in Twizel, and when Mary was just 1 year old, she would accompany her mum to work. And she enjoyed working at the pub. She was very social and always quick with a witty reply, and she made friends easily. Her friendships have been long-lasting, especially with the late Mamie and also Joe Lee. They loved to get together for a few wines, followed by a few whiskies, and they had some great times together. She also worked at the Waihi Lodge as a caregiver for the elderly, which she also enjoyed that work. While living in Orari, Theresa retired and filled her days reading books, spending time at the Town and Country and playing the pokies. She was the secretary and the president for the local Country Women's Institute, a role that suited her well with her organisation skills. And she was responsible for the Christmas plays and making the costumes, often writing most of the plays, something that she was very good at, and that came from her, probably from all her book reading, and this brought her sense of humour to the fore. Growing up, the children always looked forward to a large chocolate cake made in a roasting dish. The cake tins were always full and tea was on the stove. And as money was reasonably tight when they were all growing up, Theresa was very good at making a tin of sardines stretch to cover a whole loaf of bread to feed her family. By the late 70s, Theresa and Joe were divorced, and in 1981 she met Peter Wheels Wilson. And Michael was travelling back from New Zealand from to New Zealand from Europe to help his mum during this time of the divorce, but on his return, Theresa had moved in with Peter, and then they were married in 1984. Over the years, Theresa has travelled back to Scotland to visit family, and she's travelled on her own. In 1991, she and Peter travelled to Canada and then on to Scotland. And there's also been trips to visit Paul and his family in Brisbane, up to Auckland and stays on Waiheke Island with Michael and Debbie, up to Wanaka with Mary and the grandchildren, and to spend time with Janet in the Wairarapa. In December 1998, Theresa's world changed forever when her beloved son Joseph passed away due to a car crash. It is felt that she really never moved on from her loss. Prior to his passing, she would attend church, but after that, she has never gone back. As the grandchildren began to arrive, this shifted Theresa's focus, and she absolutely adored them all. By 2011, Theresa and Peter had moved to Balclutha to be closer to Mary and her family, and Grayson, being the eldest of Mary's children, he and his nana had a very, very special bond. She would always be there to look after the grandchildren, and Madeline and Geordie would go there after school. A real treat was to lay in her bed and eat ice cream. Saturday nights would be a movie together, James Bond or Mad Max Fury Road being favourites, with chips and dip and plenty of chocolate. 2014 saw a move to a flat in Clyde Street, and it was a much smaller than the previous house and was a lot easier to look after. Theresa continued to travel to see family and spent many wonderful times with them all. She has had a difficult time with her health over the years, and in her 80s she developed bowel cancer, which she received treatment for and came through. Around this time, she moved to be with Janet and her family, where she stayed for the next 18 months, until it became apparent after a few falls that she needed full-time care. And during her time at Janet's in the Wairarapa in rural Carterton, Theresa enjoyed trips around the area and further north to see family. They would meet up with Michael and Debbie in Taupo and staying in their motorhomes, making lasting memories. In November 2022, Theresa became a resident at Homedean back in Balclutha, and she was the youngest one there, and even though her body let her down, her mind was as sharp as a tack. Reminisce of her father and the days of him being a unionist, Theresa became the voice of the other residents, making sure that they got what they wanted. And gravy was high on the list. So apparently after Theresa went to management, they all got gravy with their dinner the next night. Initially, she enjoyed trips in the van, but once she lost her mobility and needed a wheelchair, Theresa was unable to leave the facility as she once had. Her days were spent reading, watching The Chase and Tipping Point. And as long as she had her butter, a salt shaker, as the home never salted things enough, a sharp knife, and a black cup of tea, she was happy. Last Monday, Theresa was feeling very unwell, and she spent the next 6 days in Dunedin Hospital with Mary there for most of it. As family began to arrive, she has been surrounded with love. And on Sunday at 1:30, with her family at her side, Theresa passed away peacefully. And she will be forever loved and so dearly missed. The family would like to take this opportunity to thank the ambulance staff for their care, the staff at Homedean and Wards 7C and 7B for all the love and support that they gave their mum. I'm just going to read some tributes here from family. From Mary. I deeply cherish the memories of having to eat silver beet and lamb's fry and bacon until I was 15. There might be a bit of tongue-in-cheek in there. Even though the silver beet was overcooked and see-through. I will miss my incredibly kind and honest mum. I hope you and Joe are together now in finding happiness. So thank you, Mary. Madeline. I remember Nana and I eating brawn and mustard sandwiches for lunch. For those of you who don't know what brawn is, it's a pig's brain in jelly. Can't say I've had it recently. I also remember watching all the James Bond movies together whenever we stayed with her. When I was just little, Nana used to bath me in the kitchen sink and gave me the best head and shoulders massage with her long nails. And my love for reading has come from her, and I will miss you, my darling Nana. So thank you, Madeline. Kay, who is a niece, is that correct? Kay's a niece? And can't be here today. I have fond memories of your mother being incredibly caring and tender towards her nieces and nephews, but most notably towards her own children. So thank you, Kay. And Mike, I remember making chicken chow mein for two drunken Scottish women one evening. To their delight, I found two kippers at the local shop, and they were so grateful and overwhelmed with joy as neither of them had enjoyed kippers for years, and I was smothered in hugs and kisses. It was a heartwarming and memorable moment, and I'm sure it was, so thank you, Mike. Now, just before we move on to the slideshow, is there anybody else that would like to come up and say a few words or share a memory or two? You're most welcome. So we've heard Theresa's life story, and now we'll watch her life in photo memories.
Swift to its close, ebbs out life's little day. Earth's joys grow dim as glories pass away. Change and decay in all around I see. Oh, thou changes not, abide with me. I fear no foe, with thee at hand to bless. Ills have no weight, tears no bitterness. Where is death's sting? Where, grave, thy victory? I triumph still if thou abide with me. Hold out thy cross before my closing eye. Shine through the gloom and point me to the skies. Heaven's morning rays and earth's faint shadows flee. In life, in death, O Lord, abide with me.
And so many wonderful photos there to remember and cherish, and the two at the end with the family. It was just gorgeous. And I think, Paul, you may have been at a table there with the long blonde hair. Right. I'm now going to invite Michael up for a reading, a very special reading.
When I put my hand in my pocket, to bring out a coin or a key, the cross is there to remind me of the price that he had paid for me. So I carry a cross in my pocket, reminding no one but me that Jesus Christ is the Lord of my life, if only I'll let him be. I carry a cross in my pocket, a simple reminder to me of the fact that I am Christian, no matter where I may be. It is a daily reminder of the peace and comfort I share with all whom know my Master and give themselves to his care. Love you, Mum.
Thank you very much, Michael. And that was a little poem, or a little reading, that Theresa kept in a little purse that was precious to her, and it even had a little key. Is it a little key? Yeah, beautiful. So that's very, very special, so thank you. The next thing that's going to happen now is a musical tribute, and it's Amazing Grace. I'm going to sing it. You're welcome just to sing along. But it's an honour and a privilege to be able to sing this for Theresa and her family today. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been here 1,000 years, bright shining light to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here today and for offering your love and support to Theresa's family during this difficult time. When someone as special as Theresa passes away, we reflect on what a unique role she has played in our lives. So please remember to look after yourselves, and spending time and talking about Theresa will always keep her close to your heart. Grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, it's not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love. So I ask you to now please stand if you're able. Theresa, we now send you on your next journey with much love into the arms of God and those who have passed before you. We honour your journey through life, and we remember with gratitude your deep love for your children, family and friends. We are grateful that you have been part of our lives, but we now wish you well, and please know that our love goes with you. Theresa, we entrust you to God's mercy, and we now commit your body to be cremated, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, in sure and certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Now I'd like to ask the grandchildren to please come forward and blow the candle out.
desert church in the valley by the wildwood. No lovelier place in the dale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the dale. How sweet on a clear Sabbath morning to listen to the clear ringing bell. Its tones so sweetly are calling, oh, come to the church in the vale. Oh, come, 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 come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the dale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. There close by the church in the valley lies one that I love so well. She sleeps, sweetly sleeps neath the willow. Disturb not her rest in the vale. There close by the side of that loved one, neath the trees where the sweet flowers bloom. When the farewell hymn shall be chanted, I shall rest by her side in the tomb. Oh, come, 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 come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the dale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. Oh, the crystal chandeliers line up the paintings on your wall. Marble statuettes are standing stately in the hall. But will the timely crowd that has your laughing mouth help you dry your tears when the new wears off of your crystal chandelier? Never did fit in too well with the folks you knew. When it's plain to see that the likes of me don't fit with you. So you traded me for the gaiety of the well-to-do, and you turned away from the love I offered you. Oh, the crystal chandeliers line up the paintings on your wall. The marble statuettes are standing stately around the hall. But will the timely crowd that had you laughing loud help you dry your tears when the new wears off of your crystal chandelier? I see your picture the new are shone from your crystal chandelier. Thank you so much. Whenever I chance to meet some old friends on the street, they wonder how does a man get to be this way. I've always got a smiling face, anytime and any place. And every time they ask me why, I just smile and say, you've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Well, people may try to guess the secret of a happiness, but some of them never learn it's a simple thing. The secret I'm speaking of is a woman and a man in love, and the answer is in this song that I always sing. You've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home.